Jai Hind to all. My name is Babita. I am assistant professor in MC department at Akgec Engineering College, Ghaziabad. So today we are going to start a new lecture series, new lectures in the series of problem solving using C. So then this is the fourth lecture in this series. So basically this lecture series outcomes is array, and we will talk about the array concept, which is most widely used in the C language and other languages also. So basically this is the most important concept. So let's get start the lecture. The main outcomes of this lecture is to cover the introduction part, and we will learn about what is the array and how it is implemented in the programmings, and the exact definition of the array. And after that we will talk about the types of the array, because we have the different kinds of array the according to the uses. So basically we will talk about the types of array, and after that how it is declared and how it is initialized and how the accessing part is going on in the array. And after that we discuss some problem statements over the concept, right? So let's start. So basically if I am talking about the concept of array in C language, yeah, if I am saying any kind of languages, the as you know languages, computer languages in which we are talking about the C, C++, Java and Python also. So basically this concept is most important in all these languages. So come to know the exact meaning of the array. And then array is a fixed size of collection of elements. So basically what I am saying here, the array is a fixed size collection of similar data types. So firstly, if we want to explore in detail, before that we we explain the need of this concept, because as you know we are learning the programming, and before that particular topic we learn about some expressions in previous videos, and we are talked about the operators, different kinds of operator used in C language, and we talked about the data types and loops used in C language. So basically before discussing this particular concept in detail, firstly we come to know why we need of this concept, why we need array is used in C language. So basically I give one example that's you better understand the concept needs, right? So for example, suppose you have to store the roll numbers of your 100 students in your class. Suppose that in your class 100 students we have, and the we need to store the roll numbers. So basically in a general way we are doing what we are doing roll number 1 like this. If I am saying we have to store this particular data of 100 students, so basically what we are doing, we store the roll number 1, then roll number 2, then roll number 3, then roll number 4 up to 100, right? So here what we have need, we have a need 100 different locations, right? 100 different locations, because data is stored in memory, and in a memory we have a need to store that particular data. Yeah, we store the 100 students record roll numbers at 100 different locations. So if we are looking at the memory or storage point of view, so basically we are occupying the 100 different positions or locations. So basically what is going on there, we recognize, we feel that there is the lots of memory we have to need to store that particular data. So this is the main reason, that's why we come on the concept of array. So basically how can we do this and how can we overcome these problems? We overcome these problems by using the concept of array. the concept of array used in C language is introduced, which gives the capability to store the hundreds of students record in a contiguous memory and with a single name. This is the main concept. We are storing the 100 students record and we are storing the 100 students roll number in same way, but by using the single name. Rather, when we are using different names for storing the roll numbers, like roll number 1, 2, 3. So here we are working on different locations, but by using the concept of array, हमने इसमें क्या किया, हमने हमारे पास एक ही पर्टिकुलर नेम होगा, दैट इज द रोल नंबर, एंड रोल नंबर प्रोवाइड्स सम डिफरेंट लोकेशंस, and this locations is known as the index of the array, indexes of the array, right? So basically यहाँ हुआ क्या कि हमने एक सिंगल नेम के साथ उन्हीं 100 वैल्यूज को क्या किया है, स्टोर कराया. दिस इज द मेन कॉन्सेप्ट एंड दिस इज द रीजन दैट्स व्हाई वी आर working with the array in C language. So basically now you definitely comes to know betterly why we need of the array in a C language and why we are using this particular concept in other programming languages also, right? So it can be used to store collection of primitive data types. So here what is the meaning of primitive data types? So basically in the previous class we already learned about it. We have some different kinds of primitive data types like integer, like float, like char, like double. So these all the primitive data types, and these data types are also implemented with the concept of array. That's why it is also facilitated with this data types also, right? So in the next array is the linear and homogeneous. How can we understood this particular point? As you see here, all the data items used in array stored one by one, like roll number 1, roll number 2, roll number 3, 4, 5, 6. So what are doing here? We are doing here, we are storing one after that other, right? So this is the manner of linear storing manner, and we are saying as a sequential manner, right? So whenever you store the data in the array, you are always follow the fashion of linear and homogeneous. So basically what is the meaning of homogeneous here? The homogeneous means is the similar kind of data, right? Yeah, you can say same type of values, So basically what is the actual meaning of this particular statement? If we are declaring an array as an integer, means without decimal points values, right? For example 10, 20, 30, these kinds of values known as the integer value. So basically if I am saying the integer is array is the integer types, so basically the all elements we are storing in this particular array should be integer type. That is the actual meaning of this particular keyword. Like, so basically linear, that means sequentially one after the other, and homogeneous means same type of value. If you are storing the integer value, then all values should be integer. If you are storing the floating point values, then all values should be floating points, right? So next we will array always work in a contiguously. Contiguously means we cannot skip, we cannot put the, we cannot implement in the in between the blank space. Whenever we are storing the elements of the array, we cannot skip the, we can say that हम इसमें एक भी पर्टिकुलर इंडेक्स को खाली नहीं छोड़ सकते. Whenever we are putting the value, whenever we are inserting the value into the array, we are always follow the contiguously in manner. That means in a adjacent form. एक से इसके बाद ये, then इसके बाद ये. That is the actual meaning, right? So after this this is the concept of array which is implemented in the C language. Then how it will implement in the memory? That means if I define the concept how the elements is stored in the memory with the concept of array. So basically here we have a array, the name is array, and we are storing some elements like 2, 4, 8 and these what is the kinds of what is the kinds of these data? This data is a kind of integer, right? So basically all elements is integer type. Here the storage, that is the first index to 0 index, because this is the necessary condition in a C language. Whenever you are implementing array and you are giving the index value, it always provide by 0, right? So basically the starting index of the array in a C language should be start with 0, right? So this is the memory representation of the array. Next we will talk about some basic terminologies used in the array. So basic terminologies here like size, type, base, index, range, word. So what is the meaning? Let's get discuss. Size is represented by the number of elements. Suppose if I am saying I am showing the array declaration syntax. This is the concept of array declaration. So basically how can we declare an array? So we follow some set of rules, and these rules are also known as the prototype, right? If I am saying how an array is declared, we have a prototype, and this prototype is nothing but it is the some rules that we have to follow. So firstly we have to mention the return type of the array, and after that we have to mention the name of the array, and this one is the list. This one is the list, and list is nothing but it is the collection of items, right? So basically the size 1, size 2, size 3 up to n. That means an array may be possible n size of array, right? So how can we define in this particular syntax in general way? This is the data, and data is nothing but it is the array. And why we use array? As you know, whenever we store some collection of elements with a single name, then we will use the concept of array. And what is the return type of this array? The return type of this array is integer. That the condition is that inside this array all elements should be integer type, right? So basically this is defined by that particular statements. The type specifies the type of the array, and we can compute the size required for storing a array with a single cell of the array, right? And valid identifier, the array name should be a valid identifier, because identifier is some system defined terminology, and it has some rules that it never start with underscore, it never start with numbers like 1, 2, 3. So there we have some specific rules. Whenever we defining an identifier, and array name always should be a identifier, valid identifier, right? And size of array is the maximum size of the array. That means we specify the number of elements, right? So how many number of elements, how many values we are putting, we are inserting into the array, that is the capacity, and that is the maximum size of the array. So basically what's come understood? We understood that we have a size term, and we have a type, base, and index and range. So one by one we explore this particular concept. The size represent the number of elements, right, as we seen in the previous example, and type refers to the data type and what kind of values we are inserting into the array, that's specified by the types, right? And base, this is the very important concept, and you have to learn about this definitely, because base is, as we know the in normal way, what is the base? Base is nothing but it is a means some initial point or initial state where anything else will start, right? So here suppose this is the array and this array has a starting point, and this starting point is known as a base, right? So what is the base? Base is the starting point of this particular array. Let's suppose this array is the number, right? And this number array, where it is start, yeah, from where the memory allocation is start, so this particular starting address is known as the base. So same cheese, same thing is tells by this particular line. The address of the first element of the array is known as the base address, that is, right? And now we will come on the index. So basically what come you understood by the index? Index is nothing but it is a ordered, it is a way of providing a ordered or a sequence. This is called the index. Suppose that this is the array and we are providing some indexes like the address of the cell, yeah, we can say the some sequence number of this cell, right? So I am providing a 0, that means your array start definitely with 0 index. After 0, what it will come? Obviously 1, and because we already know the array always stored the data in a contiguous form, that's why it always increment by 1. So after 1, what will here? 2, and after 2, what will here? 3. So this is the indexes, right? So all these values called as the index of the array. And last in a next point we will talk about the range. So basically what is the range? Range always depend on the size of the array. Suppose that we are taking a 10 size of the array, 10 size. So basically what is the range of this particular array? As we know that the first index, yeah, first element always start at 0 position or at 0 index. So we want to collect the 10 elements in the same array. So basically what happened here? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. Just suppose that I am writing also 10 here. Yeah, range. So range is nothing but it is the some initial and ending point, right? If I am talking about array, and array has some initial point or initial index and has some ending index, right? And this in between the initial and ending is known as the range. Are you getting my point? So basically range is nothing but it is the size, or we can say the value of indexes of the array from lower bound to upper bound. And here lower bound it is nothing but it is the initial index point, right? Index point says 0. So basically the lower bound and initial index point we are saying 0. And what is the upper bound? Upper bound is always in array considered as n minus 1. Here what is the n? N is 10 and minus 1, that is 9. So the 9 is the ending, or 9 is the upper bound of the array, and in between the lower bound and upper bound is known as the range. If I am saying this is the lower bound and this is the upper bound of the array, and in between all the indexes of the array is known as a range. Are you getting? Next, we will talk about the word. So what is the word? Word is nothing but it is the space required to store a particular element. So everything is considered in the memory. If I am storing 10, 20, 30, 40, so here 10 is nothing but it is a word, right? So what it tells? It tells anything, yeah, indicating the space required to store an element, because if I am declaring this particular array as an integer type, and here as we know that integer occupy 2 and 4 byte space in the memory. So basically if I am saying 10 is a word, so what space it will occupy? It will occupy 2 or 4. That depends on the compiler design, right? So this is the concept and this is the main key terminology of the array and used in the C language. Next we will talk about the declaration. We already discussed this slide. So basically what we explore when we are declaring types of the array, name of the array, number of dimensions. Dimensions tells about dimensions tell about the your array, whether your array is a 1D array or 2D array or 3D array and up to ND array. So basically number of dimensions, that means we are talking about the so next we will talk about the initialization process of the 1D array. So what is the meaning of the initialization? Initialization is nothing but it is provide the value, give the value या input the value, या फिर we are talking about the initial value of that particular variable. So here we are talking about the array and array initialization. That means we are providing some values where the array have some inputs, right? So initialization is a process to assign some initial values to that particular variable. So there are multiple ways in which we are initializing an array. Initialization with a declaration, that means at the time of coding, at the time of declaring an array, we are providing some values, that known as the initialization with declaration, right? So initialization with, next we will talk about the initialization with declaration without size, right? So basically what it happened here, just for example, I am declaring an array as an integer type like array name, and I am not mentioning the size, because in a C language I have to mention the size in advance, right? Just like 5. So basically what is the 5 here? The 5 is the size, and that tells here we have a 5 elements, or we can say 5 input in the array. And if I am not declaring this particular size, and this particular size is considered on the basis of input provided by the user, that type of initialization is known as the initialization with the declaration but without size, right? Next method of the initialization in the array, initialization after the declaration using loops. So basically what we'll consider as the initialization at the runtime. So basically these both type is known as the compile time initialization, and this initialization is known as a runtime initialization, right? So this is the process to initialize an array variable. Next we will give the syntax. So how can we initialize? The we have to tell the return type, then array name, then size, value 1, value 2, value 3. We will talk about already. So basically what is going here, suppose array is the array name and size is the 5, and 2, 4, 8, 12 and 16, these are the elements which is given by the user to the array, right? And how the memory in how the elements are stored in the memory, they are always stored in the contiguous form and a sequential manner, right? Next we will talk about types of the array, and the types of the array is in a C language we will discuss only the basis of dimensions. So in a previous statement, as we also see this particular word, And what is the meaning of dimension? Dimension is not nothing but it is the some kind of expressions, and this particular symbol and this particular expression is known as the subscript, and this subscript tells about the dimension of the array. If along with your array name one subscript is putting, that means you are one dimensional. If I am putting two subscription and two this particular bracket symbols, that means two dimension we have. If I am putting three subscriptions and three square brackets here, that means three dimension. So this particular dimensions and the symbols, we define the types of the array. So basically here we have two types of array, 1D and multi-dimensional. 1D dimensional, it may be horizontal and it may be vertical. Just for example, if I am designing an array just like in this form, so we are storing some values like this. So this is the horizontal process and this is the vertical, because we also store the value in such manner like 4, 5, 6, 10 up to, and this one is the 0 index, this one is on the 1th index, and this one is on a 2th up to n, just like this. Same here, 1, 2, 3 and up to n. This is the way of declaring an array, and we are initializing in such way in the memory. So basically one dimensional array, it is a one dimensional array. The elements are stored in contiguous memory locations where each element is accessed by using a single index value, and this index value is always enclosed in the square brackets, right? And it is the linear data structure storing the all elements in a sequence. It may be going on in this process and it may be going on in this process. So basically in a specific way you can implement the one dimensional array, right? Next, how to declare the 1D array? Same as the default array is also known as the 1D array. So basically return type, array name and size. This is the example of the 1D array. That's all about the 1D array, and this lecture is end by this topic, and this lecture is more beneficial for the BCA student, MCA student and others courses related to the computer field, also beneficial. So thank you.